When I started running Google Ads for clients, the budgets were pretty tiny, like maybe $100 a month. So that's probably like $3 a day. And yeah, it worked. If you're working with a small budget, don't worry. It can work. It just depends on how you do it and if you can do it effectively. You just need to approach it differently. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make a low budget actually perform. So when I say a small budget, it honestly depends on your niche and your industry. Usually home services are usually higher ticket, so they require a little bit more budget compared to like a smaller ticket service like a barbershop, nail salon, automotive shop, any of those stuff. Those are usually smaller, so less money can work better for those compared to home services. But they both can have a small budget on both of them. Just depends on what the budget is and how much you actually spent. Small budgets are really good to start with because you don't know what works. You kind of need to understand, okay, what's working with Google, what keywords are good, what ads are working, what ad groups, what services, stuff like that. So it's easier to find out when doing small compared to if you're starting with a really, really big budget. You can spend a lot of money pretty quickly. And if you don't catch it, you're not on top of it, you can spend a lot of money really fast. If you have a really small budget, the only campaign you're going to focus on is a leads campaign, especially if you're a local service-based business. And then you're only going to want to do a search campaign. Don't do Performance Max, Demand Gen, display, shopping, or video. Only search, because that's going to give the highest intent local people to your area. The next thing you're going to want to focus on after you only click a search campaign, you only want to target one specific service or one offer that you're trying to do. So say you're a contracting company, you want to focus on concrete, patios, fencing, and deck. I wouldn't recommend doing that if you have a small budget. Only focus on one. So let's say you only want to target patios. Stick to only keywords for patios. Don't try anything else, because if you try to expand on how many services you're trying to target, your budget is going to be spread out too thin. And right now you don't have a big budget. So just focus on your highest converting service and the service that you actually make the most money in. So if patios or concrete, then just stick to that and only do that. Don't try adding other things until later when you can increase your budget and bring in more money coming into you. I see this quite a bit where people would try to have a small budget, like be only $100, and then they try to target 5 or 6 different services. You're going to see that if you try to target too much, Google's going to want to spend all your money, and then right away within a couple clicks, your money is gone. So don't try doing that. Try to focus on just one niche right now until you start seeing money coming in, and then you can afford to spend more money on ads that could bring in more different types of work that come in to keep you guys busy and keep them fully working all the time. The next thing that you want to target is make sure the area that you're targeting is very local to you. Don't try to target a whole metropolitan area or a large city. Try to focus on maybe a couple zip codes, maybe a 10-mile radius, or like a couple cities in your area, a couple counties. You don't want to try to target a broad area, because you're going to be spending your money pretty quickly. You want to keep it as tight as possible so you can make your small budget worth it, and like clicks that you get that resonate more with you. And you can actually be more specific, like targeting specific counties, specific neighborhoods. You could add ad copy that could target those specific neighborhoods and zip codes and counties, so it could correlate more with that actual person that's looking up your services. Again, once you start bringing in more money coming in and you're starting to see good results, then that's when I would focus and put more money into the budget in Google Ads. But for now, just target small, and then try to target the high income areas. Like if you see a couple zip codes that you know there's a lot of money in these areas, target those. Don't try to target the zip codes that have lower income, because those aren't going to do as well, and then they're just going to spend your money. The next thing you want to do is look up keywords that are not very expensive and in the area that you're targeting. So if you have a couple zip codes and one service that you want to target, you could do research on here to see, okay, what is the average cost per click and what are we going to be targeting to get the most out of our budget. Say just focusing on fencing instead of everything else that you can possibly do. Just focus on fencing, and then let's want to target, it's a small area in Maryland. Let's say target a couple small cities or maybe a county. So in Heights, Missouri, something like this. So try to target the whole city of St. Louis. Try to maybe do a couple radius or a couple counties or cities in this area, and then you could get a decent idea. So now only targeting 326,000 people. So it's a good area to actually target. And then do fencing, and maybe try fencing companies near me. You can see what the average search volume and cost per click is. The company near me, invisible fence for dogs. No, that's not something we're going to target. Privacy fence, vinyl fence builders near me. Okay, so these are a couple keywords that you can use. So you're going to see that the smaller area you target, the less amount of monthly searches there is. But if it's still not enough, so like 10 is not enough, so I would add maybe other cities, or maybe make the area that we're targeting a little bit more broader, and then you'll start seeing that your monthly search volume start to increase. So sometimes if you do too small, it doesn't help, but then you want to be able to add more and more so you can get more and more search volume coming. So you start creating your ad copy. You want to make sure that you add copy that kind of filters out people right away. So the thing you can do is add like a starting point for your price point. So fences starting at 2,000, only serving Maryland County. So this will help you out and filter out people that are not in your area and people who are really cheap. Like they want a quick fix that's like 500 to make $100. So having keywords like in headlines that say fencing starting at 2,000, fencing starting at like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. You put your ideal lowest price point, and this filters out a lot of people that are not really qualified, and they're just gonna call you and waste your time. So it's an easy way to like maximize your ad budget for only high intent people that are okay with that are okay that they know. So I would focus on a couple of those, and you might want to pin these as the number one position. So anytime your ad shows, it's always going to show fencing starting at 2,000. So no matter what, if someone clicks on your ad, they know that the bare minimum they're going to have to spend 2,000. So this is a quick tip I would recommend doing, mainly for small budgets. It just filters out. If you have a bigger budget, then it's okay. There's a lot more stuff you could mess with. There's a lot more ad copy you can target, like pain points, and if you have a good sales process. But if you have a small budget, you want to make the clicks as valuable as possible. So you want to count them out even more as when people are looking at your ad copy. Now that you have your ads running, your created copy, you have specific target locations, and you're pretty much set to going. Now you want to make sure your keywords that are not performing, you pause them right away. I usually wait to make changes on keywords, usually like at least 30 to 60 days. But if you have a small budget, you don't really have a lot of time to waste. So you can be proactive and turn off keywords that are spending a lot of money and they're not bringing any conversions. So if you see that there's a keyword that's cost $500 and have no conversions, I know this one's at 79, but let's say you spent 500 and then there was no conversions, then of course I would turn it off because that's too much money being spent at one time. So you want to be able to focus on this pretty quickly. Usually you would want to wait, but if you have a really small budget, you don't really have a lot of time with, it's going to take time. That's the pros and cons of having a small budget compared to having a large budget where you can rate and understand, okay, what is working, what's not working. So if you got an offer that's working, you have your keywords that's working, your headline is working, and everything's converting pretty good, then that's when I recommend, okay, now let's increase your ad budget. But it doesn't mean you're going to get small results. You just need to pick one campaign, one offer, focus local, and target smart keywords, and filter out your traffic. If you want help setting up a campaign that's lean but profitable, there's a link in my description. Book a call with me, and then we can talk more about how we can help you out.